She gave him coffee every morning. Not knowing he owned the building she lived in, not knowing, he was watching her all along. This isn't just a story about kindness. It's about the day a homeless man changed someone else's future and revealed his own. For 3 years, she gave him her leftover coffee, but one rainy morning, he pulled out a key to the entire building every morning. Rain or shine, Maya would stop by the same cafe on Elm Street. She wasn't wealthy. In fact, she was barely making rent, working 2 jobs. But she had a rule: never drink her morning coffee alone. Just a few feet from the cafe's exit sat an old man, his beard tangled, his jacket more holes than cloth. No one knew his name. He never begged. He never asked for anything. He just sat. Maya had seen him for months. While others passed with quick glances or avoided him altogether, she stopped one day and said, "Want to share this coffee with me?" He looked up slowly, silent, just nodded, and so it began. Each morning, Maya bought 2 coffees, one for herself, one for him. She talked about her work, her annoying roommate, her dreams of becoming a designer. He never said much, just listened. Sometimes he'd smile faintly, other times nothing, but she felt seen, heard. Even if it was by someone who lived in shadows. People whispered, "Why waste money on a bum? He probably doesn't even understand her," but Maya didn't care. She believed kindness wasn't about outcomes. It was about who you choose to be in silence. Then one rainy morning, something was different. He wasn't there. That morning, the bench was empty. Maya stood there with 2 coffees, heart sinking. She looked around. The sidewalk was damp, the air unusually quiet, but he was gone. No blanket. No paper bag. No sign he had ever existed. Maybe he's sick, she whispered. Maybe something worse. She asked the barista if he'd seen anything. Honestly, never even noticed him. That stung. For days, Maya returned with her second cup of coffee, waiting, hoping. But the spot remained vacant. She even left a little note on the bench: "If you're okay, please come back. I miss our mornings." Weeks passed. The rhythm of her mornings cracked. Her days felt lonelier, till one Thursday, as she walked by the bench, there he was, cleaner, shaved, wearing a pressed coat. Maya nearly dropped her coffee. "Where have you been?" she exclaimed, rushing over. He smiled. For the first time, a full, genuine smile. "I was watching," he said softly. Maya froze. Watching what? He didn't answer. Instead, he gestured to the building behind. "Them. Come with me." Something in his voice felt different, calm, confident. Almost rehearsed together, they walked toward the heavy oak doors of the old apartment building Maya passed every day. She always thought it was abandoned. He reached into his coat and pulled out a golden key. The key clicked into place with ease. Maya hesitated as the heavy oak door creaked open. Inside, the air was warm, filled with the faint scent of old books and polished wood. Not what she expected in a building she always thought was condemned. "Is this where you live?" she asked cautiously. He paused. Not quite. They stepped into a grand lobby, marble floors, vintage chandeliers, and oil paintings hanging on the walls. It looked like a space frozen in time, untouched by the chaos of the outside world. "I used to live here," he said, "long ago." He led her down a corridor. Every detail was pristine. The hallway was silent except for their footsteps and the soft hum of electricity. Finally, they stopped at a door marked 301. He unlocked it. Inside was a beautiful, modest apartment. Warm, alive. Unlike the man she had known on the street, he motioned for her to sit. "I owe you a story." Maya sat, heart pounding. "I was never broke," he began. "I just stepped away," eyebrows furrowed. "What do you mean?" he sighed, then looked directly at her, eyes clear, strong, haunted. "My name is Henry Blake. I own this building. In fact, I own most of this block. 10 years ago, I lost my wife to cancer, lost the will to live, to speak, to be seen. I left everything behind, including this place, and lived on the street. Not because I had to, but because I didn't want to be found." Maya's mouth went dry. You're rich? Shook his head. Not rich, just lost. Till you sat with me. He leaned forward. You reminded me what people sound like, what kindness feels like, and I realized I want to be human again. The apartment was quiet, almost too quiet. Maya looked around. Everything was perfectly preserved. Not a speck of dust, no signs of anyone living there recently. Yet nothing was out of place. Family photos lined the shelves. A woman with kind eyes smiling beside a younger, happier Henry. This was your wife? She asked, pointing to a framed picture. He nodded. Her name was Eliza. She designed this building with me. Every corner, every brick. We built it together. There was a deep ache in his voice. I couldn't bear to be here after she died, so I became invisible. He walked to a drawer and pulled out a small velvet box. He sighed. A silver brooch, shaped like a flower, she always said. Build something that outlives you. He looked at Maya. I think she meant more than just buildings. Maya's eyes welled up. She'd be proud of you if you're finding your way back. Henry smiled, a soft, grateful smile. You brought me back. Silence returned to the room, but now it was comforting. It's like two souls just breathing in the same healing air. Then he asked something unexpected. Maya, would you consider managing this building for me? She blinked. What? I've been watching you, not just when you gave me coffee. I saw how you talked to people, how you helped that boy with his groceries last winter. This place needs someone who understands people. You do? Maya's heart thundered. Why me? Because while I was hiding from the world, you walked straight into its broken places and left flowers there. She said nothing for a moment, then quietly nodded. 2 weeks had passed. Maya now came to the building every day, managing repairs, exchanging contractors, changing old lights, and slowly getting to know the residents. And Henry? He stayed in the background, always watching, always smiling. Quiet, gentle. One morning, while Maya was sorting through maintenance reports in the office, she noticed a note resting on her desk. Rooftop. Noon. Wear something warm. She chuckled. Henry had a strange sense of timing, almost childlike in its charm. At noon, Maya climbed the narrow stairs to the rooftop ... and gasped. Before her stretched a rooftop garden. Small trees swayed gently. Colorful flowers bloomed in raised beds. A fountain trickled quietly in the center, and wooden benches sat nestled among ivy-covered trails. At the center stood, plaque in memory of Eliza, and all those who made strangers feel seen. Her eyes filled with tears. This, she whispered. Henry stepped beside her, smiling. You gave me a reason to wake up again. This garden is for you. For me, she breathed. And for anyone who loves without needing a reason. For those who give before they're asked. It reminded me that kindness is still real. Maya couldn't speak. Henry then handed her a folder, thick, official, bound in leather. What's this? She asked. Open it, he said simply. She flipped it open and froze 0.40% ownership of the building.
Ow.
In her name, she looked at him. Shocked, Henry. Why? Placed a hand over hers. I've built a lot in my life, but only one person ever built me back up when I was broken. You didn't give me money. You didn't ask questions. You gave me coffee. And stories and dignity, he smiled. This place, it needs someone like you. Someone who sees people. You just need a bed, a roof, and your friendship. Tears spilled down her cheeks. This wasn't just generosity, it was trust. It was legacy. It was a message to the world. Kindness leaves roots that grow into something far greater. It had been 6 months. The building had transformed. Brighter halls, new tenants, community dinners every Friday night. Where once silence lingered, now laughter echoed, and at the center of it all, Maya. People still asked how she got there. Was she born rich? Did she inherit it from a family member? No, she inherited it through kindness. Henry now spent most of his days in the rooftop garden, tending the flowers Eliza once dreamed of. His posture straighter, eyes clearer. He was no longer invisible. One afternoon, a reporter from a local magazine visited the building. They had heard rumors of a young woman who turned an old, forgotten complex into a thriving community without investors, without fame, just presence. The reporter asked Maya, "What made you help that man in the first place? Before you knew who he was?" Maya smiled. "Because I thought no one else was." That was reason enough. The article went viral. "The girl who gave coffee and got a building in return" was the headline. But Maya didn't care for the attention. What mattered to her was that people started noticing the invisible, the ones sitting on benches, the ones with no names, no place. She began organizing a citywide project. Coffee with strangers, encouraging people to bring an extra cup and an open heart. What started as a morning routine became a movement. One act of kindness rippled through an entire city. And Henry, he left the garden one morning and handed Maya a small sealed envelope. Inside, a note in Eliza's handwriting, faded but intact. "The ones who sit quietly are often the ones who once stood tall. If you see them, you restore the world." Maya clutched the note, tears streaming down her face. She looked at Henry. "She'd be proud of you," he replied, smiling gently. "She'd be proud of you." She wasn't looking for reward. She didn't know his past. She just chose to care when no one else did. And in return, she didn't just receive a building, she changed lives. She never asked for anything, she just gave. And in the end, the world gave back in a way she never expected. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe. Because sometimes, the quietest kindness makes the loudest difference.